buried cities beneath the earth. For centuries, civilizations have fascinated us with their monuments, temples, and architectural marvels. But what if some of these structures were not built at all, but instead revealed themselves, hidden beneath layers of soil, sand, and stone, only to be discovered millennia later? This is not a story about ordinary ruins. This is about buildings so ancient, so meticulously constructed, that they defy conventional timelines of human history. The first accounts emerged in the 19th century, when explorers and archaeologists reported stumbling upon massive stone complexes buried beneath desert sands, riverbanks, and eroded cliffs. Unlike typical archaeological ruins, these structures appeared fully formed, as if carefully placed and then covered over by natural processes. Columns, arches, and streets made of polished stone were found in perfect alignment, often beneath layers of sediment so thick that conventional excavation should have required centuries to accumulate. One of the earliest documented discoveries came from Egypt. Beneath the sands of the Nile Delta, explorers uncovered structures older than any known civilization in the region. Massive stone blocks, some weighing several tons, were perfectly cut and interlocked without mortar. Hallways and chambers suggested complex design, including ventilation systems and drainage, a sophistication unexpected for the era. Many theorists argue that natural sedimentation could not have buried these structures so uniformly, leading to speculation that they were intentionally concealed or naturally recovered by the earth. Similar discoveries were reported in other parts of the world. In Turkey, under the Anatolian Plateau, layers of building streets and underground temples were found beneath volcanic ash and soil. Some of these settlements dated back tens of thousands of years, predating established models of urban development. In South America, explorers in Peru and Bolivia uncovered massive stone cities beneath modern plains. Entire streets, plazas, and ceremonial centers lay hidden under meters of soil and vegetation. The question was the same everywhere. How did these buildings end up buried, seemingly untouched by human activity? Modern technology has intensified the mystery. Ground-penetrating radar, GPR and LiDAR imaging reveal geometric precision deep beneath the surface, often in patterns too regular to be natural. Streets align with astronomical markers, walls show signs of advanced masonry, and subterranean chambers appear engineered to exact specifications. Unlike typical ruins, these buildings do not decay gradually. They are often found intact, as if the earth itself preserved them. Researchers have begun referring to them as unearthed cities, rather than constructed ruins. One particularly striking example comes from Turkey's ancient Göbekli Tepe. Initially thought to be a ritual site, further excavation revealed layers of megalithic structures buried intentionally, with evidence suggesting that the earliest phases predate Stone Age civilization. Massive stone pillars, some carved with intricate animal motifs, were buried carefully beneath soil and rubble. Scholars still debate whether the burial was intentional, a natural phenomenon, or something even more mysterious. Across the globe, similar patterns appear. In the deserts of Saudi Arabia, satellite imagery revealed geometric formations buried beneath dunes. In Mexico and Guatemala, hidden pyramids and temples emerge from beneath jungle growth. Even in Europe, ancient foundations buried under centuries of soil or sediment appear in locations where no historical record indicates construction. These discoveries challenge conventional archaeology. Humans may have had architectural capabilities far earlier than believed, or forces unknown to us may have preserved and buried these structures naturally. But there is a darker, more enigmatic layer to the story. Many of these sites have been intentionally restricted or closely monitored by governments and private entities. Excavations are often delayed, partially documented, or subject to strict oversight. Scholars whisper about missing artifacts, altered records, and unusual delays in publishing findings. Some theorists suggest a pattern: the deeper and more perfectly preserved the buried building, the more likely it is to be controlled or suppressed. Could there be a deliberate effort to control access to structures that predate accepted human history? Scientific studies focus on dating both the structures and the sediments above them. Carbon dating, stratigraphy, and luminescence testing reveal astonishing timelines. In many cases, the layers above the buildings are far older than the earliest civilizations previously known. Soil accumulation, volcanic ash, and other natural coverings indicate thousands or even tens of thousands of years of burial, suggesting that these buildings are remnants of a lost, ancient knowledge that existed long before Mesopotamia, Egypt, or the Indus Valley. Yet the most confounding element is that these structures appear intentionally designed to endure. Columns, walls, and foundations show precision that minimizes erosion and environmental damage. Even when buried for millennia, their structural integrity is nearly perfect. Some researchers propose that the builders possessed techniques lost to history, or perhaps used materials and methods not yet fully understood by modern science. Others speculate that the Earth itself plays a role in preservation, naturally stabilizing the structures through processes not yet fully analyzed. The combination of age, precision, and preservation creates a puzzle that challenges both history and science. These buildings were neither destroyed nor rebuilt. They were found, fully formed, beneath layers of earth that should have made such preservation impossible. And the more researchers investigate, the more questions arise: who built them? How did they achieve such advanced architecture so early? Why were they buried or preserved in this manner? The evidence beneath the surface. As archaeologists, historians, and adventurers began to take the idea of unearthed buildings seriously, they realized that the evidence was unlike anything seen in conventional digs. These were not simply the remnants of civilizations eroded by time. They were structures preserved beneath layers of earth in perfect or near perfect condition, often aligned with precision impossible for the period suggested by conventional timelines. The more researchers examined these sites, the more it became apparent that something extraordinary had occurred. One of the earliest and most studied examples is Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey. When it was first excavated in the 1990s, archaeologists expected to uncover the foundations of a primitive settlement. Instead, they found massive megalithic pillars, some weighing as much as 20 tons, arranged in circles and intricately carved with animal motifs and symbolic engravings. Even more startling, these structures were deliberately buried beneath meters of soil, effectively hiding them for thousands of years. Radiocarbon dating of the surrounding layers suggested these structures were over 11,000 years old, predating Stone Age civilizations previously thought capable of such architecture. Similar patterns appeared elsewhere. In South America, particularly in Peru and Bolivia, explorers uncovered entire ceremonial centers buried beneath the earth. Streets, plazas, and pyramidal structures were found beneath thick layers of soil and sediment. Many of these complexes were oriented with astronomical precision, their layouts aligned with solstices and celestial markers. An advanced knowledge of astronomy and urban planning entirely unexpected for the time periods previously assigned to these sites. Excavations revealed that the layers covering these buildings had accumulated naturally over millennia with little evidence of human debris on top, suggesting intentional preservation rather than gradual collapse. Ground-penetrating radar, GPR, and LiDAR have revolutionized modern understanding of these phenomena. In deserts, jungles, and mountainous regions, these technologies reveal geometric, grid-like formations beneath the surface. Entire streets, walls, and chambers are detectable long before excavation begins. The precision and symmetry in the structures are too exact to be random, implying intelligent design. Some sites even feature interconnected tunnels and subterranean chambers, raising questions about their purpose. Were they religious sanctuaries, storage facilities, defensive refuges, or something else entirely? One of the more confounding aspects is the preservation of these structures. Unlike ruins exposed to centuries of wind, water, and vegetation, these buried buildings show remarkably little decay. Stone surfaces remain sharp, walls maintain perfect alignment, and chambers can remain dry and structurally sound even after thousands of years underground. Researchers studying soil mechanics and erosion patterns struggle to explain how nature alone could protect these sites so thoroughly. It is as though the earth itself acted as a guardian, maintaining the integrity of architecture that should have crumbled long ago. Some evidence hints that these buildings were intentionally buried by their creators. At Göbekli Tepe, the megalithic pillars were deliberately toppled and covered with soil in phases, suggesting ritualized concealment. Similar methods appear in Peru, where earthen mounds cover massive stone foundations in ways that seem deliberate rather than accidental. The reason for this remains unknown. Were these structures abandoned? Were they sealed to preserve sacred knowledge? Or was there a more profound reason, perhaps related to catastrophe, fear, or secret knowledge meant to be hidden from future generations? Across the world, patterns repeat. In Saudi Arabia, satellite imagery has identified massive rectangular structures buried beneath shifting sands. In Mexico, hidden pyramids have emerged from the jungle floor, only to reveal that entire plazas and ceremonial spaces lie beneath meters of earth. Even in Europe, excavations in ancient river valleys uncover streets and foundations beneath layers of sediment, as though time itself had buried these civilizations intentionally. But there is also evidence of suppression. Many of these sites have been restricted access controlled by government agencies or private institutions. Excavation permits are rare, findings are heavily reviewed, and public knowledge is limited. In some cases, evidence disappears altogether, artifacts are removed without trace, reports are delayed, or photographs are restricted from publication. Scholars whisper about lost discoveries, claiming that the more advanced and intact the buried structure, the more likely it is to be concealed from public scrutiny. Forensic study of the buried architecture has revealed astonishing details about construction methods. Megalithic blocks are cut and fitted with extraordinary precision, often without the use of mortar. Walls align perfectly with cardinal directions and celestial markers. Chambers and hallways demonstrate understanding of ventilation, drainage, and structural integrity that would be remarkable even for civilizations thousands of years later. The sophistication suggests knowledge lost to history, a mastery of stone, geometry, and planning far beyond what contemporary humans were believed capable of. Equally mysterious is the global pattern. These buried, intact buildings are not isolated phenomena. They appear on multiple continents in deserts, mountains, and plains. They share common features: precision construction, deliberate burial or preservation, astronomical alignment, and a level of engineering sophistication that defies conventional timelines. The recurrence of these patterns raises the question: were these civilizations independent innovations, or evidence of a shared ancient knowledge erased from history? Perhaps the most compelling evidence is that many of these buildings appear fully formed, not built gradually over centuries. Archaeologists note that, unlike ordinary ruins, where foundations decay first and upper layers collapse over time, these structures are intact down to their foundations. Streets remain level, walls perfectly upright, and chambers structurally sound. Even under thousands of years of soil pressure, the architecture remains astonishingly well preserved, leading some researchers to propose that these buildings were designed to withstand millennia underground. The builders and their hidden legacy. If the buildings themselves are astonishing, the question of who built them is even more perplexing. Archaeologists, historians, and geologists studying these unearthed structures quickly realized that the sophistication, scale, and precision of the architecture could not be explained by conventional theories of early human civilization. Across continents, from the deserts of the Middle East to the jungles of South America, These buried cities and temples display advanced engineering, astronomical alignment, and structural integrity that challenge accepted historical timelines. One of the first clues comes from Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Carbon dating suggests the site was active over 11,000 years ago, long before the establishment of agriculture or permanent settlements in the region. Yet here were massive stone pillars, some weighing 20 tons, arranged in circular formations, carved with detailed animal motifs and geometric patterns. The precision of construction indicates not only a highly skilled workforce, but also advanced planning and knowledge of geometry and load distribution. For comparison, civilizations typically associated with such stone construction, like the Egyptians or Mesopotamians, would not emerge for thousands of years after these structures were buried. Similar discoveries in South America reinforce the mystery. Buried pyramids and ceremonial complexes in Peru and Bolivia reveal streets, plazas, and underground chambers, all aligned with astronomical markers. The orientation of these buildings suggests an advanced understanding of solar, lunar, and stellar cycles, knowledge that was previously believed to emerge much later in human history. In some cases, layers of sediment over the structures date back tens of thousands of years, making it nearly impossible to reconcile these constructions with known civilizations of the time. Analysis of construction techniques hints at lost technologies. Stone blocks were cut with extraordinary precision and fitted without mortar, yet walls remain perfectly aligned after millennia underground. Some chambers exhibit advanced ventilation systems, while others feature drainage or water management strategies, suggesting a mastery of environmental engineering. These are not the ad hoc constructions of primitive societies. They are planned, functional, and durable, designed to last far beyond a single generation. Who were the builders? Theories abound. Some scholars argue for unknown prehistoric civilizations lost to time and natural catastrophes. Others suggest a surviving branch of humanity, distinct from the Homo sapiens populations we know from conventional records, capable of advanced engineering and societal organization. There are also fringe theories proposing that these civilizations may have had knowledge or methods that modern humans have since lost. Techniques of stone manipulation, urban planning, or environmental management that left no continuous trace in later societies. Cultural artifacts within the buried buildings provide tantalizing hints. In Göbekli Tepe, the animal carvings may represent symbolic systems, mythologies, or calendars, suggesting a complex worldview and organized belief system. In South America, ceremonial objects buried alongside pyramidal foundations hint at ritualized practices, perhaps tied to religion, governance, or astronomical observation. Together, these artifacts imply that the builders were socially organized, intellectually sophisticated, and capable of abstract thought. Yet the most compelling aspect of these structures is the deliberate act of burial. In multiple locations, buildings appear intentionally covered with earth or sediment. At Göbekli Tepe, pillars were toppled and then buried systematically. In South America, entire plazas and temples lie beneath meters of soil with little evidence of natural collapse. The intent behind this concealment is unknown. Some suggest ritualistic closure meant to preserve sacred sites for future generations. Others speculate catastrophe, perhaps an environmental or societal collapse, forced these civilizations to hide or abandon their cities. Still others propose something even stranger, that these structures were deliberately designed to emerge slowly over millennia, as if the earth itself were preserving them until humans were ready to rediscover them. The recurring global pattern of buried buildings adds a further layer of mystery. From the deserts of Saudi Arabia to river valleys in Europe, LiDAR and GPR scans reveal geometric formations beneath the earth. streets, walls, and chambers with consistent architectural sophistication and alignment. This raises questions about whether there was a shared source of knowledge among ancient civilizations or whether intelligent design naturally emerges in human settlements, given specific environmental pressures. The intentional burial or preservation of these structures suggests a continuity of purpose or belief, even if the original builders are long gone. The suppression of information is another complicating factor. Many of these sites have been restricted, with excavation permits heavily regulated and documentation limited. Some findings are never published, and artifacts occasionally disappear or end up in private collections. This controlled access has fueled speculation about deliberate concealment, reinforcing the idea that some knowledge of ancient builders may have been intentionally withheld from the public. Whether this suppression is for political, cultural, or security reasons is unknown, but it adds a chilling dimension to the mystery. The evidence exists, yet much of it remains inaccessible. Modern technology provides tantalizing ways to study the builders indirectly. Computer modeling, structural simulation, and archaeological reconstruction allow researchers to estimate the techniques used to move massive stones, align buildings with celestial markers, and design stable underground chambers. These reconstructions suggest that the builders had mathematical knowledge, social organization, and technical skill comparable to or exceeding what was previously believed possible for their era. Even without written records, the architecture itself speaks volumes, revealing intelligence, foresight, and a sophisticated understanding of both the natural and built environment. Ultimately, the builder's legacy is more than stone and earth. It is a challenge to our understanding of human history. These unearthed buildings suggest civilizations far older, more advanced, and more globally interconnected than textbooks allow. They imply that human ingenuity existed tens of thousands of years ago in forms we can barely comprehend today. The deliberate burial of these structures adds a layer of intrigue, suggesting knowledge was hidden, either by the builders themselves or by later societies. The hidden legacy of unearthed cities, the discovery of buildings that weren't built, but rather unearthed, forces a profound reconsideration of human history. Across continents, from the deserts of the Middle East to the jungles of South America, massive structures buried beneath soil and sediment challenge conventional understanding of ancient civilizations. These are not ordinary ruins slowly crumbling with age. They are fully formed architectural marvels, hidden by time, preserved with precision, and aligned with astronomical and environmental patterns. The evidence is compelling: deliberate construction, intentional burial, and an uncanny resilience to millennia of natural forces. At the heart of this phenomenon is Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, one of the earliest and most well-studied examples. Carbon dating places its origin at over 11,000 years ago, well before agriculture, metallurgy, or permanent settlements were known to exist. The site's massive stone pillars, arranged in circular formations and engraved with intricate animal motifs, reveal not only extraordinary craftsmanship, but also symbolic sophistication. Archaeologists have noted that the pillars were deliberately toppled and buried in phases, a process that seems ceremonial or ritualistic rather than accidental. The question arises, why would a society go to such lengths to hide structures it had built? Across South America, similar discoveries raise the same questions. In Peru and Bolivia, explorers have uncovered buried ceremonial centers, streets, plazas, and pyramids under layers of earth and vegetation. These structures exhibit precise alignment with solar, lunar, and stellar cycles, implying advanced astronomical knowledge. Yet the timelines challenge accepted historical models. Many of these buildings predate known civilizations by thousands of years, suggesting that advanced knowledge and sophisticated architecture existed far earlier than previously thought. In some locations, sediment covering the structures indicates tens of thousands of years of accumulation, implying that the buildings had been intentionally preserved by natural processes, or perhaps deliberately buried by their creators. Modern technology has amplified the mystery. Ground-penetrating radar (GPR) and LiDAR scans reveal geometric formations hidden beneath forests, deserts, and plains. Entire streets, walls, and chambers are detectable long before excavation begins, often in precise alignment, demonstrating deliberate urban planning. Subterranean chambers and tunnels have been discovered, hinting at uses ranging from storage and habitation to ritual or ceremonial purposes. In some cases, the structures appear intact and undisturbed, preserved beneath the earth for millennia. The scale, precision, and preservation of these buildings raise profound questions. Who were the people capable of such feats, and why did they leave them hidden for so long? Archaeologists studying these sites face a significant challenge. Unlike exposed ruins, buried cities often show little evidence of degradation, making it difficult to interpret layers of occupation or reconstruction. In ordinary archaeological sites, walls collapse first and foundations deteriorate over centuries, leaving stratified remains that tell a chronological story. By contrast, these buried structures are often preserved from base to roof, as though the earth itself had shielded them from erosion. Some researchers speculate that the builders may have known how to manipulate the environment, combining natural and artificial preservation techniques, ensuring their work would survive untouched for millennia. Cultural artifacts found within or near the structures provide further clues. At Göbekli Tepe, carvings of animals and abstract symbols may indicate religious or ceremonial significance, a symbolic language that predates writing. In South America, ritual objects and stone tools accompany pyramidal foundations, suggesting ceremonial practices, governance, or astronomical observation. The artifacts indicate a population intellectually sophisticated, socially organized, and capable of abstract thought, far earlier than previously assumed for humanity. Another intriguing aspect is the recurring global pattern of buried, intact architecture. From deserts in Saudi Arabia to river valleys in Europe, geophysical surveys reveal geometrically aligned formations beneath the surface, often consisting of streets, walls, and subterranean chambers. Despite differences in location and culture, these structures share common features: intentional alignment, advanced engineering, preservation, and ritualized burial. The global consistency suggests either the spread of lost knowledge across ancient civilizations or the emergence of similar solutions independently. Yet the deliberate burial hints at a deeper, perhaps intentional continuity. Suppression and restricted access add a sinister dimension to the mystery. Excavations are frequently delayed or limited, documentation is tightly controlled, and some artifacts vanish or end up in private collections.